hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki. And on Street Talk, we did the political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Now, joining me tonight,
Dennis Burnside.
Charles Thomas.
Patrick Maynard.
Okay, man, we got a whole bunch of stuff to cover. But we've been watching the January 6th thing for the last, week or so?
Couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks now.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the insurrection hearings have been landmark. The very first one was a week ago Thursday night. Today is Monday, June 27th. So a week ago Thursday was the very first one, and it was on in prime time. And they rolled out the conspiracy between the White House and some of these groups, like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, where, unbeknownst to most of the country, we saw evidence that the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys were conspiring on military tactics about how to enter the Capitol building and target certain politicians like Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler and Mike Pence, etc., for their summary judgment and executions. We saw how they planned with communication to the White House to have mobs of people that they asked to come into D.C., go there, press the Capitol, provide enough diversion and enough overwhelming force that the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers could do what they did.
Yeah, radios.
Radios, the whole nine. And then we saw subsequent hearings where we saw how the conspiracy played out in real time. But one of the most shocking things that we've seen in the last hearing was how the president bullied and cajoled people into trying to overturn the election after he had been told explicitly by many different people within his and without his organization and administration that he had lost the election fair and square. He knew, but he didn't want to lose.
Right.
So he decided that rather than be graceful, walk away and come back in a few years and run again, he was just going to take power. And this hearing has done so much to illuminate the facts of what happened that day that even Fox News, which did not show the first hearing live, they started showing the subsequent hearings. And you've heard from people on Fox or right-wing voters saying they are shocked at the evidence that's coming out. And they're very disappointed in what Donald Trump did because the information that he tried to plan a coup d'etat of the American government is just overwhelming. And I'll leave it here before you pass the mic on. We've had the committee chair, Benny Thompson of Mississippi, say we've had the floodgates open. We've had so many people come forward with first-hand information on the coup plot that we have had to postpone the scheduled hearings for the rest of June to process and organize all this new data coming in. But then today, just today, we get another surprise that says, wait a minute, the hearing for June 28th is back on because we have information that won't wait. They won't say what it is, but we speculate that it has to do with what's on film from this British documentary maker and his interaction with the Trump family and the GOP functionaries around Trump. And we have on tape evidence of this conspiracy. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the evidence is shown to come straight out of the mouth, the polluted mouth of Donald Trump.
Well, they had I was watching PBS and they had this lady, I forget what's her name, but she do a show. It was on a long time ago, but it's a lady on now. The other guy, what was this guy name? Anyway, he died a few years ago. Anyway, she do it now, and her whole procedure is totally different. But she had a lawyer on, real right wing lawyer. But he's been a lawyer 40 years, and he was on, and he was saying that some of the things that that Trump tried to do, he said they were just simply wrong and ridiculous.
Oh, they're completely illegal.
Yeah.
They're completely
Yeah.
illegal.
And then for people to go along with it, knowing what he was trying to pull off.
Yeah.
And it was two, I think, D.C. police that committed suicide once they tried to implement that coup.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you had 5 deaths.
Yeah.
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 With this guy, the British guy, I saw some of that already. And he expressly said, and show pieces of the film, him in conversation with the Proud Boys and whatnot. Part of the plot, when the crowd is there and Trump is talking to them, they are going to go around. They left up there before the crowd.
Yeah.
And they were going to find a way to get in. Now, you remember on the 5th, this House representative, I think he is, had these folks
Yep.
showing them around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But look at where they were. Not the normal
Area.
They were all down in the tunnel area,
Yeah.
seeing where you can come in,
Yep.
how you can
Yep.
go. They're taking pictures,
Yep.
the stairway,
Yeah.
this, that.
They-
Even to the Nadler's office and all of that. So they know exactly where to find
Yeah.
who they want.
Escape
then
routes.
you hear them saying, Trump cave, and if not Trump, Pence
Pence.
cave in, and if he did that, we are going to do this, and mention all who they were going to drag out and kill,
Yeah.
Yeah.
including Pence,
Yeah.
including Nancy,
Yeah.
Nadler, and others.
Yeah.
Okay?
And he
So
even said, I'm going with you.
Yeah.
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 These people meant business.
Oh yeah.
Why else would they have a noose?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they were chanting, drag out Pence, bring out Pence,
Yeah.
hang Pence.
Yeah.
They meant business. And this was not coincident. It
No.
was a plot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you had, beyond the activity of January 6th, we can look at the activity between November 4th and January 6th, where they tried to eliminate or change votes. We had Rusty Bowers, a Republican from Arizona, one of the star witnesses on the Tuesday of last week's hearing, where he detailed how he said, what's your evidence for this? Because I'm not seeing anything here that reaches the level of a nationwide effort to steal this election. I don't see any evidence whatsoever. He testified that he was told by Rudy Giuliani,
Yeah.
well, we have a lot of theories, but we don't have any evidence.
Yeah.
And he was pressed to overturn the Arizona election by multiple members of Congress and the Trump administration. And at that same hearing, we find out that at least 5 Republican Congress people went to Trump and asked for a pardon. Now, pardon is only issued when there is a crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these men and women showed
Yeah,
consciousness
they
of guilt
did that.
that they did something
Yeah.
illegal in their effort to overturn this election. And the fact that they asked for a pardon is all the evidence we need to know to understand that these were insurrectionists. They knew that the election was won fair and square. Now you've got a lot of ignorant, ill-read voters out there who support the Republican Party. And God bless them, whatever your rationale is. I don't understand it, especially looking at your economic and working conditions. But if that's what you want, good.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me that you love the Constitution and ready to fetishize it every time, and then look at evidence of people who are just standing there urinating on it and ignore it.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
They do that just because the white privilege.
Yeah. The other thing is, the thing is that here you are, waving a flag and going on, but look what you're doing. You know, now you waving the U.S. flag and going on, but look what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
But that's being patriotic to them. That's patriotism,
This
man.
woman,
That's hate.
Yeah.
This woman said she defended this country for 8 years, but now she took down her flag. After what just went down this last few days, she took down her flag. She is no longer defending that. She has to defend herself, other women and children.
It's moved the needle. These hearings have really moved the needle because we may not have the most literate country in the world, but we do have people who watch a hell of a lot of TV.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a narrative that's uninterrupted and laid out, and every witness to this point, every single witness, with the exception of the two election volunteers, and we can talk about them too, were white Republicans.
Yeah.
Every last one of them. And they're laying out their experience in this attempted coup so explicitly and so plain that even you've seen hosts on Fox News turn against Trump and say, yeah, he went too far. So I fully expect that what we're going to have is a hearing that concludes that what Donald Trump did was try to overthrow the U.S. government and take power by force. And the one thing that makes me laugh about all this, if there's anything funny, is that when the January 6th committee was first proposed and structured by the Democrats, the Republicans, of course, said, we don't need it, we don't need it. But Nancy Pelosi went to Kevin, what's the fool's name from California, who's a minority leader. I should have his name at the tip of my tongue. But he didn't want to participate. He said no Republicans are going to participate in this
McCarthy?
this fraud. Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
So Nancy Pelosi went out and got two Republicans who said, yeah, I think it's important that we get to the bottom of this. And Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney from Wyoming, and they have done a spectacular job. So what you see is no Jim Jordan interrupting every 2 minutes with stupidity and non sequiturs.
Right.
You don't have Lindsey Graham, feigning and fanning his neck and saying, I declare this is too much. You don't have any of that crap.
No.
You have a mature, factual hearing based on the evidence from A to Z, and it's overwhelming the Republican Party. And it could, between that and Roe, it could upset the apple cart where we typically see in an off-year election the power and party lose the House or the Senate or both. We may not have that happen now. We may not have that happen because enough people are afraid of what the Republicans have become. They are a fascist, power-hungry party.
Right. Now, if they can get rid of Trump, it seems like they can get rid of those that were closest to him. Because it was definitely a coup, and they was definitely involved in the narrative of overthrowing the government.
Well, you're going to have the January 6th is not a legal body. They can't jail or put anybody behind bars, but they can open up lanes or pipelines of investigation, and that's what you're seeing. You're starting to see the Justice Department subpoena some of these very same people who previously they showed, if they didn't show interest in it, or if they did show interest, we didn't see it. We saw scant activity by the Justice Department vis-a-vis January 6th. Now we're seeing all kind of activity. And then, of course, you've got the Georgia state attorney general who's going hard after Trump and what he did there, where he tried to interfere by asking the Secretary, the Governor Kemp and the Secretary of State to just find me 11,780 votes. Come on, give me a break. Just one more than I lost by. That's prima facie evidence of a crime. And that is coming at them too. So Rudy Giuliani's not sleeping at night. Donald Trump's not sleeping at night. None of the Trump children are sleeping at night. These guys are in deep trouble. Jim Jordan is walking around bumping into walls. You could go on down a list of Republicans who ran their mouth and got so arrogant that they thought they could actually get away with
Oh,
this.
yeah.
They really thought that this was going to work.
Yeah. And
They listened to Trump.
Yeah, and
Why?
when they
Fear.
first was talking about putting this together, that ain't gonna be nothing. It's like,
There's nothing.
yeah,
But you see, the reason they were saying that, they knew they were involved and they didn't want it to come out. Jordan, well, I can't remember if I did talk to him the morning or the afternoon or when, and all this kind of baloney. They are going to be brought to shame in as a result of this whole experience here.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are going to talk. Trump's daughter is actually talking against him in that she agreed with Barr with what Barr said. In other words, Trump knew,
yeah,
and she agreed with him.
yeah,
She is going to end up saying some things because she herself was involved in the plot
Yeah.
to keep him in power.
Yeah.
So Donald knows he is a sitting duck.
well,
But you got guys like Mo Brooks, Jim Jordan, Republican after Republican,
Yeah.
who knows that their emails and text messages have been and are being scrutinized by the January 6th committee,
why they're so
and
stupid.
all these things that were done in dark are going to come to light.
Yeah.
And now are you going to explain that after saying it was nothing? It's a Democrat.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
they're not respectful enough
Yeah.
to call it the Democratic
Right,
Party.
yeah.
They got to call it the Democrat Party.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they have to be so disrespectful because that's what their constituency
Yeah,
likes.
yeah.
Own the libs.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you do as long
Yeah.
as you own the libs.
Yeah.
Well, now they're owning the libs and being greedy and trying to run this country like a banana republic is now coming to the fore, and we're going to see Jenny Thomas, who is already on the record as having been in a cult that blew her mind and she had to be deprogrammed. We're now seeing evidence of her participation in this whole scam, and all these right-wing Republicans who are arrogantly doing it. On the phone with the Oath Keeper, on the phone with the Beastie
Yeah,
Boys
yeah,
or whatever they
yeah,
call themselves.
yeah.
You know, just tantamount to treason
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
and it's all coming out to the open.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a hard time spinning and rationalizing these words away once they're presented to the American people in plain language on TV. They don't have to
Right.
read it.
Yeah.
Because we know you're too busy watching The Bachelor and 90 Day Fiance and
All of that.
and
Distractions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big game.
Yeah.
And we know you're too busy for that, but you will watch TV and it's
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah.
It
Now-
is coming.
Now,
And you know,
Thomas, his wife, wasn't she sending buses to bring people to?
Yeah, she was
Oh.
involved. She was
Yeah.
involved
Yeah.
in the logistical support for the
right,
coup.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what happened to the records that Trump, when he left office, he took some documents
He
with
took
him?
he took
15
he took
boxes.
Yeah.
classified documents,
Yeah.
and that's another investigation that's
Yeah.
going on right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So he's facing charges from a lot of different directions all at once, and Trump is now on the record as crying and complaining about how weak the Republicans are. They won't defend him anymore, and they're turning their back on him. He's even polling in second place now. They like the new fascist DeSantis out of Florida. He's now the number one fascist party candidate for the presidential election in 24. Trump's up in arms because they're turning their back on him. Trump's whole life has been that bromide that we all heard as young men. How many of you heard from your pops? See a fool, use a fool.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't be the fool, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
been Trump's whole
Yeah,
modus
right.
operandi his entire life.
Yeah.
See a fool, use a fool.
Yeah.
And
Right.
he's found plenty of Rudy Giuliani
Yeah.
on down the line.
Yeah.
Well, now
Yeah.
the Republican Party is looking at Trump as, hey man, you're a useful fool.
Right.
But your days are overplayed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
about to
Yeah.
do a little
Putin
time.
played- yeah.
So
Yeah, Putin played
we
it.
gotta find. Yeah, Putin can't save you. Matter of fact,
Right.
Putin got tough enough time saving his own behind.
Right.
So we got to move on to a new guy to dupe the fools.
Right.
And you ain't it.
Right.
And
And he's up in arms now because he's wondering where the loyalty is. The same loyalty he always showed
Right.
to other people.
And,
None.
and the thing is that Now the Republican Party, you got all these people who knows now what the Republican Party is about now. Do you think they're going to vote Republican?
Well, you've seen, believe it or not, and I don't know where these people come from, and I don't know who they are, but you've got these people who are always the undecided voters.
Okay.
The people who are independent voters,
Right.
and they swing, like a lot of them voted for Barack Obama because
Okay.
of his personality, his
Yeah.
magnetism, and the
Charisma.
fact that he was a good man.
Yeah.
And you had people who had voted for George Bush vote for Barack Obama, who in 2016 voted for Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
And they stayed on the Republican plantation in this last election.
Okay.
Well, you're starting to see a big movement in that middle group back to the left away from Trump. You're also starting to see some people who are looking at some of the institutions that the GOP relies on, like the church, like some of these corporations, and they're looking at them with jaundiced eyes. So you're starting to see a movement away from the GOP. Again, whether it's big enough to impact these midterm elections later this year or the presidential election in 2024, we'll soon see. But right now, the evidence seems to be that, yeah, it could be just enough to swing it or maintain the Democratic majority in the House and Senate.
Well, what do you think?
Yes, something's amiss. I rode through Stockbridge, and I still seen a lot of Trumps and a lot of American Republican flags.
Stockbridge, Michigan?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
But overall,
consider the source.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, that's like you driving through Macon, Georgia, and saying you saw a lot of Trump flags.
Yeah, yeah. They don't have pills for stupid.
Yeah, well, overall, though, we talking about the people from
Those
from,
independent,
yeah.
middle of the road,
Yeah.
undecided voters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
we-
the ones who are going to decide the election.
Yeah.
Trump, if you look at these people, they've only got 33% of the population.
Yeah.
You look at most major issues on where people are. Roe v. Wade's a good example. It's like overwhelming
Yeah.
numbers. 70% of Americans think a woman ought to have the right to
Yeah.
choose. But because we had these people in the middle who move with the wind, depending on which commercial on TV
Right.
is more persuasive
Yeah.
as to who they vote. They don't read.
Right.
Because if they read, they'd have known that Trump is a lifetime grifter and con man. One more thing that he's in deep rotted up to, Chuck, up above his eyebrows. It was a finding out that not only was this the big steal, it was the big grift. This fool has taken $250 million in
People's
campaign
account.
contributions
Yeah.
and put them in his own
At
pocket
discretion.
Yeah.
because he used as a rationale, stop the steal, they're taking your rights
Right.
away from you, they're taking your election
Yeah.
away. And he hasn't lifted a finger. He hasn't funded any of these groups that he said he was going to use the money
Right.
for in order to obviate and overcome this stolen election.
Right.
He's put it in his pocket. So
Right.
now he's being investigated for the grift.
Yeah.
Right. That's a pyramid scheme.
Of course it's a pyramid,
Yeah.
but his whole life has been that
Right,
way.
yeah, yeah.
His whole life he's been
Yeah.
a pyramid
Yeah.
scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
He's a
nothing
con
less.
man.
Yeah.
He's nothing. He grew up that way. That's why he was the favored son.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who drifted over, was drawn in by that, and the dad loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Well,
a
the
Marxist.
favorite
Yeah,
son.
yeah.
Yeah.
But my thing is, we had an old saying: if don't say it that way, people may not get it. People may not get it if I use island talk.
It'll be cussing.
Anyhow, the thing is, a lot of people are still following Trump and will continue to follow him. The devil has his friends.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah.
And when you keep on doing the things that the devil is asking you to do, you're saying, I'm your friend. You are my master.
Yeah.
And we are seeing it here now. My thing is, somebody raised the question about Trump and all these other things, and if he not going to go to prison, what other people outside there saying. My thing is, if Trump does not go to prison, everybody in prison now should be released.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what he did far surpasses what they did.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to overthrow the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's treason, but they won't call it that. They won't call it a coup.
Hey,
Well, yeah,
Well-
they may not be,
Yeah.
but the January 6th committee damn sure is.
Okay.
And most of the country, again, if you look at polling, including Republicans, they're saying, yeah, Trump did try to
Right.
Yeah.
process
Throw the
a coup
government.
d'etat.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
about it. So whether or not he goes to prison is of I wouldn't say of little consequence to me.
It's
It's
big.
of lesser consequence to me than we draw a plain and open conclusion that this man led an insurrection and that this man conspired with these group of people to do so, and we're calling them to account, and now Justice Department, do your thing.
Right. Yeah.
Because Trump could die of a heart attack tomorrow. I mean, he's one cheeseburger away from it right now.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I want this man's name
Erased.
in the
Yeah.
historical
Yeah.
record
Yeah.
is not erased, but printed plain as to what he is and who
Yeah.
he
He did.
is
Right.
and what he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
there to be any
So
equivocation
Yeah.
about that.
So let it be done.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next thing though, one quick thing that you bring up earlier, those 15 boxes. Top secret.
Yeah.
Why were they in his place for over a year?
Yeah. How'd they get him
What
out?
did he do with them? Did he sell some secrets to somebody?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We got to wonder.
Yeah.
I think the FBI, CIA, whoever is doing some kind of investigation on that.
Yeah.
But we need to know what happened, where those stuff went.
Yeah.
And I have my own suspicion. I could speculate that this might have happened. I don't know. I'm waiting for the evidence.
Yeah. But that has to be an inside job too. You just can't walk out with top secret material.
Well, you know,
He had people working with him, the devil as his friend.
Yeah. You lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas.
yeah, that's true. But you know, if you got the president saying, "Well, okay, y'all move that," hey, the company just come in and just moving the stuff. You know, that's the way I figured. He got all this stuff down there. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, all he had to do is says, you know, move this, put this in my house, and
Bear in mind, he was also having them destroy things. They had to call the plumbers to clear the toilet from things he tried
Flush.
to flush down.
Mm.
So
So what do you think might be the end of this? As now we get into the end of it, been going on for 2 weeks now.
Well, the surprise hearing that's happening tomorrow, June 28th at 1 o'clock, is going to be one for the ages, because that is one where people speculate we're going to see video evidence, words coming out of Trump's mouth, words coming out of Mitch McConnell's mouth, words coming out of Rudy Giuliani's mouth, et cetera, that they can't refute. So at the end of this hearing, which will probably conclude sometime in mid to late July,
Okay.
we're going to have a report. And that report is going to lay out the facts of this plot from A to Z after having been televised. So I think we're going to see the opinion of the Donald Trump presidency dramatically changed as a result of these hearings.
What do you think?
Well, I think the credibility of the country is just way below standard.
Okay. What do you think, Patrick?
Which was in the
I
papers
think
today.
right now,
Yeah.
we're seeing, remember that Truth Commission in South Africa?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing something of that nature here now. And we just want to see the full extent of the law.
Well, the problem with that truth and reconciliation thing they had in South Africa was they got the truth, but they didn't get the reconciliation. But we could talk about that another time.
Right. Okay. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki, and we catch you down in the next block. Peace.
Peace.
Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, "You are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power And I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.